Your four favorites are Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Cléo from 5 to 7, All About Eve, and All the President's Men. My top choice for you is Juliet of the Spirits. Like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, it's about confronting dissatisfaction, insecurity, and marital problems. Like Cléo from 5 to 7, it's got a well-written, complex female protagonist going through a bit of an existential crisis. And this one doesn't involve a tarot card reading, but there's a clairvoyant who conducts a seance, and the protagonist visits a mystic, so I feel like there's something comparable there with spiritual guidance. Like All About Eve, it's about an aging woman whose sense of self is challenged or threatened because of the people around her. And like All the President's Men, it's about discovering the truth, but in this case it's personal truths instead of political ones. But if that one's a little too surreal and dreamlike, a movie that's more grounded in reality that I think you'd like is Sweet Smell of Success. And the screenwriter of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf co-wrote the screenplay for this one, so it has that same sort of smart but also sort of vicious dialogue. Like Cléo from 5 to 7, it's a black and white film that takes place in a city, and music is involved because Cléo is a singer and one of the characters in this movie is a jazz guitarist. Like All About Eve, it's about ambition and manipulation. And like All the President's Men, it's about journalism. Mildred Pierce, like Cléo from 5 to 7, follows a woman navigating a personal crisis. Like All About Eve, it involves female characters who are ambitious and concerned with social status and their public image. Like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, it's a character study about complicated relationships, and it involves an investigation like All the President's Men. I especially think you'd like Wanda since you're a fan of Cléo from 5 to 7, because this movie also follows a woman going through an identity crisis and has that wandering, alienated feeling. And like All About Eve, it explores how women are judged by society. Like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, it's about loneliness and dissatisfaction. And like All the President's Men, it was released in the 70s and has this sort of observational style. The Insider is about journalism, investigating the truth, and challenging powerful institutions like All the President's Men. Like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, it involves confrontation and conflict that affects characters' personal and professional lives. Like All About Eve, it's about reputation and public image. And like Cléo from 5 to 7, it follows a character who's in a vulnerable and uncertain position. The Bad and the Beautiful came to mind because you're a fan of All About Eve, because it's similarly about Hollywood, ambition, manipulation, and rivalry. Like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, characters' resentments are gradually revealed. And in your review for Cléo from 5 to 7, you mentioned how the film unmasks the protagonist and deconstructs her persona. And I feel like this movie does something similar, but not quite in the same way. And like All the President's Men, it's about uncovering the truth about powerful and influential public figures. Your love for Cléo from 5 to 7 makes me think you'd like The Heiress, because it similarly depicts a woman who feels sort of adrift while raising questions about identity and self-worth. Like All About Eve, it's about social status and manipulation. Like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, it's a character-driven drama about complicated relationships. And like All the President's Men, it explores how social status and power can influence people's actions. I know none of your favorites were directed by William Wyler, but a lot of his movies came to mind when I was looking at your four favorites. So on that note, I'm gonna recommend another one. The Letter stars Bette Davis like All About Eve, and also involves manipulation and people hiding their actual motives. It's based on a play like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and is similarly about deception. It's got a complex female protagonist like Cléo from 5 to 7, and like All the President's Men, it involves an investigation. In terms of tone and genre, this one might not seem like it fits in with your favorites, but hear me out. Death Becomes Her, like All About Eve, is about rivalry between women pertaining to fame, beauty, and youth. Like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, it's about toxic relationships. Like Cléo from 5 to 7, it confronts anxieties around identity, aging, and beauty. And you mentioned the split diopter shots in your review for All the President's Men, and this movie also includes at least one split diopter shot. Plus, both movies explore how a person's public image can be constructed or manipulated. The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant is based on a play like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and is similarly dialogue-driven with a small cast and explores toxic relationships and emotional manipulation. Like Cléo from 5 to 7, it's about women who seem to be defined by their appearances, but explores their insecurities and loneliness. And like All About Eve, it's about the relationships between women pertaining to ambition, beauty, status, and power. Ace in the Hole is about journalism like All the President's Men. It's about ambition like All About Eve. And like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, characters are manipulative, selfish, and cruel. In your review for Cléo from 5 to 7, you said it portrays a chic young woman going through an existential crisis in style, and if that's not my entire vibe, I don't know what is. So based on that, I think you might like A Woman is a Woman, An Unmarried Woman, What a Way to Go, The Green Ray, and Belle de Jour. Chilly Scenes of Winter explores the complexities of romantic relationships like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and it kind of does what you said about Cléo from 5 to 7, where it unmasks the main character. Like All About Eve, it has to do with jealousy and the distance between fantasy and reality, both the fantasy versions we project onto other people and our fantasy versions of ourselves. And like All the President's Men, the main character is trying to understand the truth about something. I feel like I kind of neglected All the President's Men with a lot of the movies I recommended so far, so I'm gonna focus on that for these last three. Like All the President's Men, Failsafe is a tense, paranoia-driven political thriller. The Conformist is a stylized political film from the 70s, and Z involves a political investigation and exposing corruption.